Alleged death threats riddled at the Deputy Prime Minister. The Free National Movement wraps up its convention tonight, and police investigate two of the country's latest homicide. Good evening, everyone. I'm Leah Cooper with your JCN News for this Friday, February 25th. Following reports of a voice recording making its rounds on social media, allegedly defaming the name and threatening the life and safety of Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper, the DPM is speaking out, and he says he is seeking legal action.
The matter is being looked into by the police. My lawyers are looking into it. I came into politics with my integrity intact. I will leave with my integrity intact. I will not allow anybody to besmirch my good name. I have a long-standing reputation in financial services and in the business community, and I will defend my reputation with every fiber of my being. Anyone who chooses to make allegations against me, they will need to be prepared to respond appropriately under the law and in the courts. But I will not stand by and permit it. I think for too long in this country, public servants and public ministers have allowed their name to be dragged through the mud sometimes without responding appropriately. We've allowed it to happen, and I'm saying enough is enough.
DPM Cooper says as a public servant, he has a right to not have his name, life, and integrity attacked, and he is poised to ensure that whomever is behind these alleged attacks feels the full brunt of the law. Our news team has reached out to police on this matter, but was declined a comment. We will continue to follow this matter and bring updates as information becomes available. It was a busy Thursday night for criminal investigators here in the capital as police officers received reports of two separate homicides just hours apart. The first homicide was reported sometime after 7 p.m. in the vicinity of Blue Hill Road, south of Cowpen Road. The body of a male believed to be in his early 20s was found with apparent gunshot wounds. Press Liaison Officer Superintendent of Police Audley Peters.
Our officers responded, and on their arrival they met a young male on the western side of the street with what appeared to be gunshot wounds about his body. The emergency medical services visited the scene, and following their assessment, that victim was pronounced lifeless. The information in that incident suggests that the male was walking along the street when a small vehicle approached him. A lone gunman stepped out, discharged his firearm in this direction, and that victim succumbed.
Fast forward to shortly before 11 p.m., detectives were called to Pond Court in the community of Black Village, and according to Superintendent Peters, on arrival at the scene, officers learned that two males were shot, one succumbing on the scene and the other injured and subsequently taken to hospital. He is listed in serious condition.
Our initial investigations indicate that two males were sitting under a tree when a small vehicle came through the street, and two males exited that vehicle brandishing firearms. They discharged their weapons in the direction of the male, hitting them, resulting in one being hospitalized and the other being succumbing to his injury.
The deceased is also believed to be in his early 20s. Now, reporters asked if the deceased and the second victim knew each other. Superintendent Peters says that the pair is believed to be compadres. He notes that there is no evidence suggesting that the homicides are connected.
We want to appeal to members of this community who may saw, heard, or know what happened to contact the Criminal Investigations Department at 502-9991 or 2. We cannot reiterate enough that if you see something, say something. These are your communities you live in, and you are just as responsible for policing your communities as we are the ones who are your taxpayers or receiving your tax payment to do this job.
Meanwhile, the press liaison officers told reporters of a major arrest of a female for possession of an unlicensed firearm in the area of Lily of the Valley.
She was along with a male culprit who exited the vehicle and made good his escape. But we want that male to know that we're going to get you, knowing that we have your partner. And I've said it before, that everyone who has a firearm, somebody else knows that they have that firearm. And so now we have a female in custody who will be brought before the courts because of her knowledge and being in the vicinity and perhaps well aware or maybe complicit of some previous incident.
Investigations into both homicides continue. The Free National Movement's three-day convention wraps up tonight. However, today the party delegates headed to the polls to cast their vote for the next deputy leader, chairman, and other posts within the party. Laurencia Smith was on the grounds with the party's last four leaders. Here she is with that report.
Some 450 Free National Movement delegates from here in the capital and across the Family Islands descended on the grounds of Holy Trinity Activity Center today to cast their vote for any 101 candidates vying for the leadership position within the party. Among those delegates casting their votes were past and present leaders of the FNM. Party supporters threw up their torch sign as party leader Michael Pintard made his way into the hall to cast his vote. Now, after casting his vote, Mr. Pintard told reporters that this year's convention was a time of reflection for the party.
After September 16, obviously we had a lot of introspection to do as an organization. The convention gives us an opportunity to do just that, to do a bit of a postmortem on what went wrong, but more importantly, to regroup, to select the full slate of officers who are absolutely committed to retooling the organization, reconnecting with the Bahamian people.
Former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis was warmly greeted by his supporters. Dr. Minnis looked emotional as he made his way in to vote. However, he dismissed that he was emotional when he spoke with reporters. After the warm greeting, he says this.
Well, it shows that you're still appreciated, you're still loved. In spite of all the challenges we went through, there are many who appreciated what we did and we had to do. I've said before, when I entered politics, I came in with one view, one belief, and that is country must always be first.
A sea of red gathered around former Prime Minister and FNM leader Hubert Ingram when he came out to cast his vote. Meantime, leader Old Tommy Turnquest was greeted by fellow former parliamentarian colleagues.
I'm optimistic that the party will settle on a list of candidates today who will work with the leader, Mr. Pintard, and bring us together, heal the wounds, put forward a program that the public of the Bahamas can buy into and accept.
But the party's going to have to, as in opposition, get back down to basic grass, get down to the grassroots funding, get people involved.
During the early stages, with COVID-19 cases hitting a record-breaking daily numbers, the convention was expected to be virtual. However, it was changed to an in-person event. Co-chair of the convention, Ethan Adderley, admits that the only challenge the committee faced was bringing in delegates from the Family Island.
I expect a very smooth transition, very lively. I mean, you see outside there's a lot of banners and flyers, everybody's just trying to jockeying and competing. And we should be able to announce the results hopefully after 4 or so this afternoon. And we'll have a new deputy, we'll have a new chairman, a new slate of officers, a team that the leader can work with. And I'm actually looking for Senate for tonight, because I'm looking forward to tonight. I expect a very smooth transition, very lively. I mean, you see outside there's a lot of banners and flyers, everybody's just trying to jockeying and competing. And we should be able to announce the results hopefully after 4 or so this afternoon. And we'll have a new deputy, we'll have a new chairman, a new slate of officers, a team that the leader can work with. And I'm actually looking for Senate for tonight, because I'm looking forward to tonight.
Now, St. Barnabas MP Shenandoah Cartwright, St. Anne's MP Adrian White, both vying for deputy leader of the party, while former Elizabeth MP Dr. Dwayne Sands, former Yamakroy MP Ellsworth Johnson, and former Golden Gates MP Michael Folks throwing their hats in the race for chairman. I'm Laurencia Smith for JCN News.
Thanks, Laurencia. The Office of the Auditor General is looking into pandemic spending, particularly into the National Food Distribution Program. This much coming from Auditor General Terrence Bastian during the Office of the Prime Minister's weekly press briefing. He was fielding questions by reporters about if his office has any plans to look into what was spent since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, that's a must. We are looking at it as I stand here. We've been requesting information from the beginning, such as we have some files in office now that we would have requested on the food program. So we are checking into, and it's our duty to make sure we know exactly how the money is spent. So we are looking at that.
The National Food Distribution Task Force was established under the Minnis administration in 2020 in response to concerns of access to food across the Bahamas in the early phases of the COVID-19 pandemic. It officially came to an end in October 2021 after a $54 million investment. When asked if the Auditor General's office has any other ongoing audits, Mr. Bastian noted that they are looking into 3 organizations. That's the Civil Aviation, the Bahamas Meteorological Department, and the Bahamas Technical and Vocational Institute. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.